Everybody come and catch the show. You want dad jokes, they got plenty of those. So relax and listen on as Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse.
Ho, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
It's Christmas morning, Dev.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. If it happens to be Christmas morning, but if Christmas morning is not your jam, then happy Sunday.
Yeah. Merry Sunday in December.
Dev and I have taken a little time out of Christmas morning to ignore our families and record for you today. By the way, this is the show. Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse. Welcome, everybody.
Now you know.
Now you know. How you been, buddy? We missed a couple. We had to do a best of show for our holiday break, but we made it back for this one.
Yeah, Thanksgiving and all that good stuff kind of jumbled up recording schedules, and here we are, somehow recording again for Christmas.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. Are we 70s truckers or something?
I have a significant shortage of methamphetamines to be a 70s trucker.
I mean, we could be Smokey and the Bandit. They didn't use any meth in that movie.
Like on screen. There's a lot of meth. There's a lot of meth going on in that movie. It's just not on screen.
Even the hound dog's doing meth.
Everybody. I think that's just the hound dog's, like his version of P90X. It's just meth.
Just sitting up in the front cab, going eastbound and down. Not eastbound and down, the Danny McBride baseball show. For those that are too young to understand what we're talking about.
I guess that show is old by now, isn't it?
Well, that's old too now. God, it sucks getting old because it feels like that show was just on the air. I mean, 10 years at least.
Oh, I think so.
See, I'm going to pull a Kyle card and not Google that.
Yeah,
because I don't want to know how old I am.
Google free Christmas. I know exactly how old I am because I was at a martial arts dojo family picnic. The kids' martial arts dojo had a picnic, and so I was at the picnic. And while we were at the picnic, we started playing volleyball, and my kids wanted to play volleyball, so I started playing, and I got a little competitive. And I would say that I comported myself very well, but while successfully getting the ball over the net with a couple of layout stretches, I was reminded by my body where every muscle is. Just made noises that I was not happy of, even though I was successful in scoring the next point.
That's when you need some meth or P90X, evidently, because they're interchangeable for dogs. So why not for humans?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's what you. I'm going based on your statement.
I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Name that show, Dev.
What?
You don't know that one? The original Showgirl episode? No. Saved by the Bell, where Jesse gets addicted to caffeine. It's a very special Saved by the Bell that's completely and totally about drugs.
I know of the episode, but it did not click.
What she takes in the episode is caffeine pills because they weren't allowed to say drugs when we were kids.
But it was supposed to be like she was taking.
Oh, absolutely. If you watch the episode now, it's as if it was just lifted from the show Bible of The Wire, but it's an episode of Saved by the Bell.
I don't remember it being that dark.
That might not be true.
Is it kind of like Home Alone and how everybody's just evil bad people in that kind of thing? Like you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Is that the same kind of connotation with the Saved by the Bell episode? It's one of those things where you just compartmentalize it in your brain.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I believe it's the episode where it's canonically introduced that Screech is into porn. Fast forward, life imitates art.
Yeah.
And him. What was he? What was his porn title?
I don't remember. Something, I don't know, Diamond diamond balls or something. I don't know.
I do remember diamond balls. That would be pretty good. I do, and will never forget that it was called John Bobbitt Uncut. He did porn, and that I know for a fact. Google free Christmas morning. John Bobbitt. For those of you too young to remember, Dev is laughing. He already remembers. Famous victim of having his penis removed by his wife.
What in the hell Christmas episode is this?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Time out. We are only 6 minutes into the show. We can right this ship. This is supposed to be Christmas. What the fuck are we doing?
What's Christmas without a little discussion of unwrapping the presents?
Unwrapping the presents and porn. I mean, who doesn't want some porn underneath the Christmas tree? That's supposed to be the night before Santa shows up.
Hold on. Somebody's at my office door. Yeah, you kids go ahead and open the presents. Yep. Dad'll be out in a little bit. I just have to record. It's cool. Sorry about that, Dev. I didn't mean to. It's Christmas morning here, right? The kids they're very interested in.
You're supposed to give them presents that can preoccupy them to where they're not interrupting important things like talking about porn on Christmas morning.
Wouldn't that be great if I was smart enough to give my children toys they enjoyed?
Or Santa's supposed to do that. I guess he failed too.
Oh, he fucking lets me down.
Fat man.
My God, he never leaves any of the whiskey.
You leave whiskey for Santa?
Absolutely, we do. We leave milk and cookies and whiskey for Santa.
Nah, he gets milk and cookies. That's it.
You're just a purist?
Yeah, milk and cookies. Nope. Santa's not dipping into my bourbon.
Fair enough.
I don't know. No. I
run a Christmas trivia for sort of an annual holiday party that we go to. And it's a big thing. Like, I got to come up with like 5 teams times 5 rounds of questions, and they have to be like progressively harder every year. And then it's the same people every year. So now I'm like 75, 80 questions deep in the history. I got to go back and like write them all down. The whole thing. It's a production. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you noticed by virtue of hosting a podcast with a guy that maybe I think I'm more production ready than I am, but I'm a little over the top. The point of this story is that in the trivia, it was told, and this is just the only fact, right? When you're just looking up trivia questions, they don't explain it, and I wasn't going to Google it. It says that the traditional drink left out for Santa Claus in Australia is a beer.
That does not surprise me one bit.
It doesn't.
I mean,
it's the middle of summer. Santa's working hard.
Anchorman said it best. Milk was a bad decision on a hot day. And even at night in the summer, it can be pretty hot.
Yeah.
I mean, a nice ice cold glass of milk is nice, but not when it's been sitting out.
And not when you got to zip to the next house.
Exactly. I mean, you might get some ice cold milk, but then the next one might have been sitting out for, an extra hour or two and starting to get warm and curdled. You don't want to be chugging that shit all night.
Like that one mythical family where the kids went to bed on time, and so the milk's been out longer than normal.
Exactly. And it's at the end of the stop. So it's like the last house in Australia, and it's starting to get thick and like congealed on top.
What if you like knew somehow you could figure it out because you got up and went to the bathroom and it was like 4:45 in the morning and you were like, oh shit, we don't have presents yet. And then you laid back down and then you woke up like 30 minutes later and you had all your shit. Like, what if you knew for a fact that you were the last house in Australia? Like, would that be like a distinction that you would give yourself? Like, fuck yeah.
Like,
we were last this year.
Or something Aussie.
Something Aussie. Yeah, I think Budgie Me Smugglers, I think they say.
Something about a bungee.
Throw another Santa on the Barbie.
G'day, Rudolph.
So we've insulted our French listeners.
And now we've already insulted Australian listeners because we talked about them being based out of being a penal colony.
I don't think we talked about that. I think we just believe that.
Yeah, we believed it. I don't think we're finally saying what we've talked off air. Yeah. I get, we've had so many conversations on air and off air, they get confused sometimes that I can't remember what we said, what we haven't.
I get to the point where I don't like talking to you off air. Where I'm just like, shh, quiet, save it for the show. This is solid gold.
Yeah, because then I'll forget about it. And then months later, we finally come out and go, yeah, Australia, we love you. But
I mean, it's an open fact. They know it. They advertise it. It's on the money, I think. We used to be jail. I think that's what it says on this.
We used to be jail.
Yeah, I think that's on there, right underneath the president of the picture of the clown minister. It says we used to be jail, but it says it in Latin. It's classy. It doesn't.
Oh, that makes it up. I mean, right there.
Yeah,
you spice it up with some Latin. Nobody knows what it means, but they just go, it's got to mean something about God or something for sure.
Speaking of things I've been dying to tell you since I heard them, this is a 2-part story.
Is it in Latin?
No. You're going to understand this. The story is about, do you ever, like, there's that myth of the garage inventor. And I found the perfect archetype garage inventor for our time. And I've did a bunch of research and it turns out to be essentially completely true. The quintessential Thomas Edison of the late 20th century. Well, Thomas Edison was an asshole. There's no indication that Lonnie Johnson is an asshole. The famous inventor of the late 20th century. Do you know what Lonnie Johnson invented?
Long Johns.
Mm-mm.
No, that would be probably a guy named
John. Yeah,
maybe
John Long.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. You want to take another guess? Late 90s. So revolutionary that when I say it, you're going to remember how shitty these devices were prior to the crash onto the scene of this item. It's going to make perfect sense to you because you'll remember the 80s and you'll go, oh yeah, this activity fucking sucked in the 80s before
Lonnie Johnson.
Before Lonnie Johnson and the
revolutionized the Walkman. No, I am completely drawn a blank.
The Super Soaker.
That guy is he the one that also has all the patents from Whammo? Or is that
a different guy. No, the guy with the Whammo, the Super Bowl, and the Frisbee that we've already talked about ended up
totally different guy. Okay.
Yeah. No, Lonnie Johnson is alive and well and not made into a Frisbee yet.
He's going to be made into a Super Soaker.
Super Soaker. I hope so. In the same way that I will be made into a podcasting microphone.
Yes.
And you will have your leg made into a Frisbee, but the rest of you somehow kept.
Yep.
To be frozen.
Just intact. Cryogenic with Ted Williams.
Ted Williams, Walt Disney, Dev. In the Talking Head Hall of Fame come, what's that cartoon? Futurama. You got it. I didn't see that either. So Lonnie Johnson works at JPL for like 12 years. During that time, he's going to JPL. He comes home. He holds 12 different patents on how a Super Soaker functions. Now, for those in the Dev and Kyle Apocalypto audience who don't know what life was like before Lonnie Johnson came along and fucking revolutionized squirt guns. If you've ever had one of those $1 squirt guns where you just pull the trigger and it was like just fucking gleeked and wasn't actually a squirt gun. It goes like 18 inches, maybe. Yeah.
And for those who don't know what a gleek is, that's when you get like the little spit kind of thing that comes out from underneath your tongue. Mm-hmm. Usually accidentally, but some people can do it on command.
Can you do it on command? I cannot.
I used to be able to kind of do it after years in middle school of trying to do it.
Because I had heard a rumor.
My tongue is the Keith Richards of tongues.
But apparently it's not the Gleek Richards of tongues.
It's totally different. It's seen some shit. It doesn't mean it can
do some shit
like that.
I mean,
it can perform other shit, but not
Yeah, Keith Richards' daughters are hot, so he can do some shit too. The point of the story is, I can't believe you said that, Dev.
Wow. I can't believe this is the most.
If you'd like to send hate mail to Dev and Kyle on Christmas morning, go get up from your family, go in. I know you're listening while grandma's opening her presents. Just get up from the couch, go to your phone, and email Dev and Kyle, STA, at gmail.com. Send your hate mail to Dev about how he's derailing this entire show. I'm trying to talk about squirt guns, Dev.
It's such an X-rated show for Christmas morning of all mornings. The most holiest of mornings, next to Easter, if you're religious. Of a certain faith.
It's not even the most popular faith on the planet, Dev. Quit being an American.
We're top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Lonnie Johnson goes to JPL during the day, comes home to his garage, invents a weird, like a nozzle and a pressure container, and the super soaker that can shoot 100 feet, 50 feet, whatever it can do, an actual stream of water. Because in the 80s, you had either the handheld Gleek machine, or the only other squirt gun that I remember from the 80s was like the tube that you had, like the 2 pieces of PVC pipe that you did underwater, but it didn't have a tank. You had to be in the pool to use it.
And you had to have some upper body strength.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just go kind of...
Super Soaker comes along. It's got that shotgun grip. You're pumping that thing like crazy, but then you could just... It's a good thing that people can't see the video of that on Christmas morning.
Holy jeez.
This is just you, Dev. I'm trying to have a clean...
Holding like air shotgun and doing like the pump action with the...
I wish I was recording this. Yep. Just
you are recording this, just not...
Just spray it everywhere. Oh, it's getting all over me. Ah.
Yeah,
Stop.
and after you do that, you...
Oh my God.
Like that.
Hose the crowd down.
Hose down, top to bottom.
Lonnie Johnson invents the Super Soaker. He doesn't even try and market it himself. He gets a meeting with Nerf and Hasbro and is like, hey, I invented the world's best squirt gun. They say, fuck yeah, you did. Here's some money, and here's a percentage of total sales. It has never been made clear what his... I read a very long article about Lonnie Johnson. It has never been made clear what his percentage take or like what the details of his deal were. However, he went back to them and had to sue Nerf. And in arbitration, he was awarded his full amount in arbitration. And the details of the arbitration were not that he was not being paid. It was that he was not being paid enough because they were shorting a percentage of the sales. Because he got some percentage of sales, 1%, 5%, 10%. Nobody knows. But he said they're miscalculating total sales so that my percentage is coming out lower. He was awarded an additional $76 million.
I think he's set.
He's set. All up, all in. Most reports credit him at having approximately $250 million of revenue to himself from both the Super Soaker and here's the genius thing this guy does. First of all, Super Soaker's genius. He's already goes on the Inventor Mount Rushmore, in my opinion. One of the greatest inventions. That and the microwave dinner. And yeah, I mean, I'm running out. I don't even know. I'm taking submissions for the other two.
That's a short list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it wasn't something that was pornographic.
Well, that's why I have you on this show today, Mr.
The internet.
The internet.
The internet. There we go.
First of all,
check,
please. I'll have what she's having. No, the point of the story is he takes his inventions and all he does is like modify the nozzle so that a Nerf dart fits on it. And then he then sells that back to Nerf too. That's the other reason why Nerf darts go like 90 feet per second now. And they were lame when we were kids, is the same underlying Super Soaker technology.
Wow.
Yeah. How cool is that?
That is some deep mythos that just my childhood. Now I vaguely remember hearing about Lonnie Johnson, but that's the most I've ever known of the guy. And then of course I said I wasn't going to Google anything since it's Christmas morning episode, but I had to Google Lonnie. Guy is 73, looking like he is 41.
Correct.
Like, of course, if you got that much money, you're probably going to look amazing.
Bezos doesn't.
He's all smiles, and every single picture, he's grinning ear to ear.
Well, sure.
Was in the U.S. Air Force, aerospace engineer. Guy's a brilliant human being. His greatest accomplishment and accolade is the inventor of the Super Soaker.
And slightly modifying it to accept a Nerf dart and having that too. Yeah. And you love to see it, right? You love to see, not a corporation, not somebody getting stolen from. You love to see it.
Yeah. And he worked at NASA as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's responsible for all the Nerf darts on the moon.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's a ton of Nerf darts up there because of Lonnie. And they all have Lonnie was here. He's probably been to the moon. We just don't know about it.
But yeah. He just got in a Super Soaker and was like,
yeah, he was like, watch this, guys. I'm going to show you how to do this a lot more efficiently and a lot cheaper. I'm going to sell you my dart pusher to NASA.
I found out about a second inventor whose story is both weirder and like does not result in them being super duper rich because they misjudged when their invention would be worth it. Okay.
Is this another toy?
It's another toy. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's a toy because it's not fun. Okay. It's those little fucking poppet things for kids today who can't grow up and get real bubble wrap like an adult.
Oh, yeah.
Those little, they look like, the little fidget toys. Undeniably wildly popular these days. The inventor, dead. Gets zero money. Sold the whole thing in like the 70s. Came up with it. Tried to market it. Couldn't get it off the ground. Sold it to somebody for like $50 and was like, I made it, but nobody liked it. And that's it. Yeah, he's dead.
Wow.
So the corporation that like bought the rights in, 1981 is now making, they're making the poppet money.
And then all these other knockoffs.
Yep.
I mean, there are so many kids right now that have a poppet of some kind in the stocking.
Yeah, like the genius who bought the movie rights to The Running Man when it was still Richard Bachman on the title before they found out it was a Stephen King book. That's how good this company was doing. Here's the weird part. The invention of the poppet came to the inventor in a dream. And I am going to Google this, like just so that I don't get it wrong.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to Wikipedia.
Sign of the apocalypse.
I'm going to Wikipedia because the quote needs to be, it has to be perfect. Okay. Theo and Ora Coster, they did invent other games that made them famous, including Guess Who, right? So they're not...
Great game.
Yeah, great game. Also great that it's updated for the 21st century because it was one of those games where you're like, oh, is your person white? No. But now you can't, that strategy doesn't work anymore. So that's great. The re-release of Guess Who has more combination choices. I think that's great. But if you played Guess Who in the 80s, it really was 29 white faces and one person of color. Yep. And it was like your opening question. And it either worked and you win.
Yeah. You're like, haha.
Or it was just like, no, they're done. Random piece of trivia. Theo Coster, former classmate of Anne Frank. That doesn't apply to the story. Okay. According, I'm going to read this verbatim. If you go to Wikipedia and you search for the poppet, and you go to the origin section, I'll put the link in the show notes. Okay. And I quote, according to the BBC, inspiration for its design came from a dream Ora Coster had when her sister, an artist, passed away from breast cancer. She is quoted as saying, quote, imagine a large field of breasts that you can push the nipple. She went to Theo and said to do a carpet of nipples that you can press from one side to the other. And he did just that.
No.
So now, Apocalyptos, you will never be able to unsee a poppet as a field of nipples. So put that in the hands of your children, Apocalypto parents.
Here is a carpet of nipples
that you can push from one side to the other. That's not how they work in real life, Dev.
No, they don't. They don't actually make pop sounds. It's more like
I don't.
I'm trying to make like a flat rubber. I can't. I don't know. I could go grab one upstairs.
Excuse me. This is just you.
A puppet
constantly being pornographic on today's Christmas episode. You're just gonna go grab nipples upstairs.
That already happened.
Merry Christmas.
Indeed. So, since it's Christmas, that means this is the end of the year.
It's true. It is the end of the year.
We've gone through quite a year, some ups and downs, professionally, personally, show-wise.
This is the best year of Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse that has ever been recorded.
Greatest year of the show, without a doubt.
Absolutely right. Only to be topped by next year when we are better at it.
Because next year is 2023.
Mm-hmm.
23, Michael Jordan's number.
True.
Michael Jordan is now the MVP name for the MVP for the NBA now. They renamed it after him officially a couple weeks ago.
That's true.
This month
they did. What is it? The Michael Jordan Kia MVP trophy?
Something like that.
Is he the only 3-time MVP? Is that why they gave it to him?
I feel like there's another. Maybe the only like 3 in a row MVP, but he didn't win 3 times in a row.
He didn't win 3 in a row.
Yeah, he got snubbed one year.
Yeah, and I'm sure Bill Russell won 3 times. Who's got the most? I'm kind of sad that it's not the Bill Russell. Let's see. Who has the most? I'm doing this again. Who has the most MVP in the NBA?
I mean, if this isn't a sign of the apocalypse, I don't know.
Who is it? Who is it? It's we haven't said the name yet.
Jerry West.
Who should it have been named after? Because it's not Michael Jordan. Jerry West? No, he's already the logo.
Kobe Bryant.
Nope.
Tim Duncan.
No. Come on.
I'm just grasping.
You've run out of it. It's Kareem. 6. Kareem had 6.
And he's a great ambassador too.
Yeah. Bill Russell, Michael Jordan each had it 5. Will Chamberlain, LeBron 4.
Let's be honest. The reason Kareem doesn't get as much love as he probably should is twofold. One, he's a pretty private guy.
Yeah, true.
2, the name. Since he changed his name from Lou Center to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's a lot of just negative connotation because of his.
Did you see the HBO show, the documentary?
I did not. I wanted to watch it. I heard it was funny and informative, but also got a lot of stuff wrong. So, I mean, that's to be.
So I don't know if it had anything wrong in it. It had him in it. So I would imagine the parts where he's talking, they got those parts right. He's a little bit before my time, as old as I am. You know, I wasn't there for the 70s of his career, and the the first half of the 80s. I wasn't a basketball fan yet. I didn't realize this. So there was like a mass shooting, like a fight between, because you mentioned the name change, a sect or a faction, I don't know the right word, and I apologize for getting it wrong, of like Islamists in America, but there were 2 sects or factions at odds with each other. And somebody from one side came to the side that was affiliated with Kareem and murdered like 4 people. And the place of the murder was Kareem's house. He just happened to be on the road. Yeah, it's in the documentary. Like, I don't know any of it, and I've exhausted my Google points for the night. So you can Google it if you want to. You look crazy. But yeah, no, there was like part of him being like a private guy is also sort of like beaten into him by being a public guy, trying to encourage peace and the whole thing. And yeah, like somebody like kicked the door in and shot 5 people in his house to like do the whole thing. And yeah, and apparently he was like not seen in public for 3 years after that happened. He was like played a basketball game and then disappeared.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I never knew that either. And it was like, came out of so spoiler alert, the Kareem documentary. But there's way more in there. You should still watch it. It's very, if you're a fan of basketball at all.
See, I was thinking you were talking about the show, the series that has John C. Reilly playing Larry
Tropic Thunder?
No, not Tropic Thunder.
No, there's the Showtime Lakers one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, no. There's an HBO documentary that is like has Kareem's participation because they get interviews with him and they go through like how it went down.
I need to watch that then.
Check it out. Come back, watch it because it's been a year and a half since I watched it before the show existed. And yeah, come back and tell us all about it because I only told you the one interesting thing about it.
I mean, that's right now, that's consuming all I can think about is, I mean, that right there should be a documentary in and of itself is just that aspect. I mean, they think of all the shit. I mean, because there's so much that led up. There's so many things that had to have led up to that involving that specific person and the whole, I guess it would be denomination and
could be
the correct terminology for the two.
Whatever the correct terminology is the one I want to use, and I don't know it.
I don't know. A denomination, sect, whichever one's proper. If it's not one of those two, that edit it out in the future, and it'll be a weird cut in. And
here's the weird cut in. The answer is sect.
It'll have to be because the thought police will make us do it in the 15 years from now.
Nope.
Big Brother will be watching.
That'll be what the apocalypse is.
That is, yeah. Speaking of the apocalypse, though, I was trying to get to that with it's the end of the year thing.
Oh.
And talking about how, crazy this year has been for the show and everything.
Sure.
There are some things that we have said that may have aged well or not so well.
I'm not familiar with anything that you may be talking about.
And somebody might go, that maybe they are starting the apocalypse.
Oh my God. Everything we touch with this podcast
turns to shit.
Has been turning to shit. We rewind the clock. We start the show. We call the show Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse. We record our first show on January 9th, 2022. Russia invades Ukraine in early February 2022. Bad timing on the naming of the show. Felt like World War III when we were recording a couple of those episodes.
Quite literally.
We talk about later on, we talk about how Will Smith doesn't seem that weird.
Nope. One of the good ones.
A couple of months later, maybe a few weeks, Chris Rock is on the receiving end of not that weird.
Biggest bitch slap ever recorded on live TV.
I think that's the list, Dev. I don't think we had any others.
Maybe? Are you
no?
You sure? You positive?
No. I guess there was that time in episode 2 where you convinced me to declare myself the Kanye West of this podcast. Holy shit! In case it isn't clear, thank you for bringing it up, Dev. I would like to go on record that I am no longer in any way affiliated with being the Kanye West of this podcast.
Not even a little bit?
Not even a little bit. Holy shit.
Yeah, talk about going off the fucking rails. I mean, not that he was that altogether.
He wasn't.
Leading up to that point. He'd been showing his cards pretty fucking well over the past 5-6 years. But did anybody really, I mean, honestly see it coming to this level?
No, I did not have Kanye praises Hitler on my 2022 bingo card.
Did you see Bill Burr called it, though, in 2014?
No.
Like, yes.
He's better than we were? Or he actually got it right instead of us getting it the opposite?
Yeah, he nailed it. He in a bit on one of his, I think it was one of his Netflix specials, was talking about how if you took the the cockiness and the confidence and the ego of Kanye and put it in a white guy, and you get
God damn.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's 2014 or earlier or later. There's oh God, what's the name of that comedy duo? Garfunkel and Oates, the two ladies who play guitar and they sang. They had an onstage bit, and I watched it on a YouTube clip, and it was recorded. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, but it was grainy ass footage. It was not shot on an iPhone 7. And their game is who said it, Kanye or Hitler. They read quotes. Now, of course, it's an old game, so they don't have any of the solid gold, sort of new Kanye quotes, which are indistinguishable from Hitler. But they've got some zingers, which are mostly just about being, I think I'm super duper important, is really what the quote boils down to. And it's a hard game, the way that they stage it.
And little did they know.
Mm-hmm. Little did they know.
They had breaking news before anybody else.
Yeah, they got it right. And the Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse podcast is now famous for getting it exactly wrong.
Like, total whiff. There was, we had another episode too.
What's probably going to end up now that we've called it out this episode is that Lonnie Johnson is going to run for House of Representatives in Georgia next month.
That'd be awesome. He seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. Unless he comes out and he's like Kanye 2.0, and then that case, like, whoa.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know. Everything we touch turns to shit on this show, Dev.
Like that one crypto central exchange. What's the name?
We didn't say that.
We didn't. But
we didn't say that. We didn't support any crypto exchanges.
FTX was mentioned.
Was it?
FTX was mentioned.
I didn't listen to that show. I wasn't there.
You weren't there. That show didn't exist.
It does exist. I don't remember specifically saying that any particular type of crypto was important. We touched on Ethereum specifically, but I don't remember saying that people should go.
Sid, maybe I'm confusing again on-air, off-air conversation, but I thought Sid had said he used FTX.
He might have said that to you.
Do some purchases and then transfer things to his own.
I think he was using it
wallet
as a bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. Not storing anything on FTX.
No one was storing anything on FTX, turns out.
Even if you were storing it, air quotes, with FTX, you wouldn't storing it, air quotes, with FTX.
Everything we touch turns to shit, Dev. What else do you want to have fail? What do you want to bring up? You know what I'm worried about? Thanksgiving. We spent an entire episode talking about Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving
2022 might be the last Thanksgiving ever.
Oh, fuck.
Based on our track record. We may have to cancel Thanksgiving before next year.
I was thinking, since we recorded it prior to Thanksgiving and then it aired after Thanksgiving, it was okay.
Thanksgiving will probably go on Alex Jones by spring break. Because I went to Disney World. Disney didn't do so hot.
Yeah.
Everything we touch turns to shit on this show, everybody.
Are we going to get canceled?
We can't get canceled. That's the trick. The way that I've structured this as a multinational shell corporation inside of a limited liability corporation. I have my GED
11 inches around.
Clipping that. I have my GED in multinational shell corporations, and we're protected. No matter what we say, we're protected. But I highly recommend shorting anything that this show supports.
Oh, God. Except for one thing that we're not mentioning that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, I say keep shorting it.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, you know what? Keep doing that.
Keep doing that.
We are slowly... We've got a hand in it.
We got a hand in it.
The apocalypse, we're slowly starting it. We're just inching it ever so closely to the finish line.
Speaking of just a matter of time, Dev.
Is it?
Yeah! Showtime!
Or don't. It's a free country, and it's Christmas.
Not for long. What? Stop it, Dev. I'm trying to tell my joke.
We touch it turns to shit.
What do you call a belt made out of wristwatches?
A belt made out of wristwatches.
Mm-hmm.
A waste of time.
That's correct. Good job, Dev.
Hey!
Nicely done.
Some might say, I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not going to self-deprecate on our wonderful show.
That this show is a waste of That's been obvious for a very long time. I do have to put a special shout out to my oldest son, who told me this joke. I think he said he wrote this joke. So I'm going to tell you this joke.
He wrote a joke?
Yeah. This is what he said. What do you call a horse that gets out of the barn?
A horse that gets out of the barn. It's horsing around?
Nope. Unstable. I was so proud. Speaking of doctors and scientists,
Dr. Feelgood,
and paleontologists, I read a story that they found a 1.8 million year old tooth in Georgia, which I was super excited because I thought for sure that this would be the tooth that was the most well preserved in the entire state of Georgia.
I mean,
but it turns out they found it in the Georgia, the country. So Georgia, the state is unsalvageable. But no, they found the world's oldest, like human-ish, 1.8 million years is human-ish, tooth. They found it in the country of Georgia. I only had the one joke for that story, but it was just kind of cool.
That is cool. That's a marvel of human history and evolution. Watch them find out that it's not a human tooth. It just looks like a human's tooth.
No, because there was no point. It's a DC of human truth.
Kind of like this podcast sometimes.
Well, sure. Yeah.
No point.
No point. Just like my head.
What nose? Nose has got a point.
It does. My nose does have a point. Mine is.
Everyone's nose has a point.
I don't think that's true. I've seen some people with some smashed in noses, some upturned noses.
Still a point there. It just might be a larger, more rounded point.
A larger, more rounded point. That's literally the opposite of a point.
Still a point. It's just a different kind of point.
Is this like you in the fucking basketball goal? Are we going to have to go back to that?
Where we are knee deep in it.
Knee deep in the goal? You can't get up that. You can't put your knees in the goal.
We're knee deep in a point.
No.
A point can be anything. It could be.
I don't think that's true at all. Like, I literally think
because
the definition of a point.
I'm pointing. Tip of my finger is.
That's true. You are pointing.
I'm pointing to a point on my finger.
Just one point.
Yeah, I'm pointing to a point on a map.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's a point. Point.
You do have a map behind you, which reminds me of an incredible joke by Gone Too Soon, Mitch Hedberg. And the joke was, I want to get one of those maps and then put a push pin in it for every place I've ever been. But first I got to go to the top 2 corners of the world.
Brilliant, Mitch. God rest his soul. Friend of the show, Mitch.
Friend of the show, Mitch Hedberg.
Ow. You ever have a scratch, a place that it itches so bad that you scratch and it hurts, but it feels good at the same time?
No, but I am dealing with like a phantom itch. This is the part in the show where I'm so old that I talk about injuries again. So did I tell you about how I told you about like scar tissue and having to get the motion back in my wrist. But did I tell you how I ended up in that situation?
Off air, but I don't think you did it on air. I don't think the story.
Playing beer league softball, ended up in a terrible collision, landed wrist first, and broke the wrist bone so bad that I got 9 screws and a plate and cadaver bone to put it all back together. That then leads to the physical therapy story that results in the sledding story with the tearing of the scar tissue story. Now, you've listened for this long, Apocalyptos. You deserve to have that story told in order.
Full circle.
You said the itch that like hurts so bad that you have to scratch it. For whatever reason, now 15 years later or whatever it's been since that injury, it's 11 years. I did it in 2011. I'm now developing like a phantom itch in my hand, like so it was my right wrist. And like across the like meaty part of the thumb palm, there's like an itch, and I cannot scratch that itch to make it go away. It's just always and constantly there.
Ever since I broke my arm, I've had an itch where it knocked a chunk where I had to get stitches on my left arm.
Yeah.
It has itched nonstop.
But you're still healing. I'm 11 years out.
It's healed. Like that, where the stitches were there, the stitches are gone. It's completely healed. It is like constant, nonstop itching.
But you have like a crater, like scar there.
I mean, the crater's filled in. It's just like a dot now. It looks like a bruise almost.
A bruise? Wow. That's a weird.
Yeah, it's like a weird discoloration.
Dev's taking his shirt off. Now, that does look like a bruise, though. That's weird. Yeah. I bet that still looks like fresh, new skin, though.
It constantly itches.
I can't believe that on this same episode where you've accused me of being the pornographic one, now you're disrobing.
In my Big Lebowski sweater.
I think that's a medium Lebowski.
It's an extra large Lebowski.
I'll take an extra large Lebowski.
Yeah, it is. I even had to ask people if I should go with the large or the extra large because I couldn't decide if I wanted more of a slim, form-fitting cardigan sweater or more dude-like, relaxed, chill, hippie sweater.
Yeah, you sent me those pictures. I could not tell the difference.
Well, there was a difference. There was about 2 inches difference in length.
I don't measure in inches.
That's what she said.
The point of the story is maps. That's what I was trying to segue us into.
Point of a story. Like, see, we're going back to points. It doesn't have to be like a sharp point, like a point of a needle or the point of a arrow.
You're losing me, Dev.
Point. This is how we got onto fucking maps. That's from the point. All right, go on.
I've come out before on this show not in favor of daylight savings time. And the rest of the world is crazy town. We're lucky. Arizona, no daylight savings time. I found out, first of all, we've tried to eliminate daylight savings time once before. Did you know that? It was before both of our times. It was in sort of the mid-70s during the oil crisis. They thought it would be smart. But they extended summertime. So they sprung forward and then they stayed there come the winter, which is not smart because what happened is that like sunrise became like 7:30 a.m. for some places in the country and people hated it. No,
that's way too early.
Wait, did you say way too early?
For me.
When do you expect sun?
In the winter. Like I like later. I like late sunrises in the winter.
How late is late though?
Like 8 o'clock where it starts to get light. That's what I like.
That's what you put up with?
That's what I like. And not that I get it, but like that's what I like. That's what I would like to have. I do it artificially with blackout curtains.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I like the sun to come in at 8. I do not like the sun in the morning. Period. Until about 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's when I can deal with legit sunlight. I just hate the sun in the morning.
I used to be, and did I tell you this story about my oldest child turning me into a morning person? I've reached that like dad age where I've just committed to being a morning person. And like everyone's father's just like, oh yeah, I get up at 2:30 in the morning. Why wouldn't I? I'm not there yet. But I was very much like you, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., ready to rock, stay up late, ready to go. And my oldest child, this is not an exaggeration, has probably slept in past 8 a.m. Out of the 11 and a half years, he's probably slept in past 8 a.m. 50 times total.
That's insane.
Most times, this morning, in fact, 4:30. And listen, now that I've mentioned it on the show, it's going to go to shit because he's about to be a teenager and the switch is probably going to flip. But really easy for me. He gets up at 4:30 in the morning, flips on the Xbox, gets in an hour of Fortnite. Now it's 5:30 in the morning, meanders downstairs, puts his clothes on, not in a rush, no big deal. He's got 3 full hours to get ready to school, and he doesn't. Just reads a book, whatever. The other 2 like wake up late. They're scrambling. They've only got like 30 minutes to go from horizontal to in the car, and he's just Kaiser Soze, like walking through the scene. It's all frantic in the background, and he's home to dum because he's been dressed and ready for 90 minutes. That's most of the time. Sometimes he's hard to wake up. But like I said, maybe 50 times that he's gone past 8 a.m.
I wish I could switch my circadian rhythm to be more of a morning person.
You can.
And still do the stuff that I do late at night. But I guess the thing, like, a lot of my friends are still up. Like, a lot of my friends are still up until like 11:30 or 12. And then it takes my brain another hour or 2 to slow and shut down to where I can actually rest. But I wish I could do all the fun thing, like play games and watch shows.
You can
catch up on my reading in the morning.
You can.
I have tried to be a morning person all my life. I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
All you have to do is have a baby that won't sleep past 7 a.m. and then have that baby just force you to wake up to keep the child alive.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had to do. That was me. Like, I get up now early. I never did. But it is solely because he reprogrammed me from birth until he was capable of not dying without supervision. I had to get up every morning, watch him toddle around. We didn't have no school. I didn't have anywhere to be. I didn't have to be to work till 9 a.m. He was up at 5. I was just watching him, happy as a clam. I've got one eye open and a cup of coffee. Hey, try not to fall asleep because he would, do whatever it is he does.
Yeah. I was the one that would be the late night until like 3 o'clock, and then we would switch. So I could go to sleep. And if she woke up at between 10 to 3, I got that. But then after that, I'm going to sleep. I'll wake up between 7:30, 7:45, somewhere around there, and then take over.
Yeah, see, ours was the opposite. As I've just been laying out, is that my wife would do the late night, and then we'd switch over at 5 o'clock in the morning. But my wife has like onset insomnia, so she's always struggled with that. So that was where we had to leave it. But the reason I brought up daylight savings time,
there's a point. There's no
point to daylight savings time. The reason I brought it up is the whole joke is buried in this situation. There's no official map of all the time zones in the United States. Did you know that?
Wait, what?
There's 100% true fact that there is not an absolute map of all the time zones in the United States. There's the middle parts of all the time zone sections where everyone's like, oh yeah, definitely, we're Eastern time. Oh yeah, definitely, we're Central time. But if you go to the borders, there is in fact no hard boundary. And it is just neighborhood traditions that drive the squiggledy-wibbledy line of who switches and who's in what time zone and who doesn't. And that is because time is a capitalist construct.
It's a weird soup, as a very wise person once said.
Nope. Time is a capitalist construct.
And that too.
Invented by the railway man so that they could keep your money when you didn't show up on time.
On what?
That's true. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. No. So prior to the invention of the railroad, basically every town was on their own time zone, which is fine, right? If you can't go places fast, what do you care what a time zone is? And so the town would, the wise men of the town would just stand in the middle of town square and just wait for the sun to be above their heads. And then they would say, now. And they would start the town center clock at like solar noon. And then they would just keep the clock going. And that would be town time. And prior to the invention of the railroad and fast travel, it would be you'd have town time, and it would take you like 8 to 12 hours to get to the next town. And so what did you really care? Like, by the time you made it to the next town, you'd sleep, and then you'd wake up the next morning and be like, what fucking time is it? Oh, it's town time 11. Okay, cool. Like, it didn't matter. But with a railroad, like precision timing of getting the railroad from one place to the next, that was why they invented time zones, was so that you could predict that it's like those fucking word problems. If a train leaves Charleston going 90 miles an hour and needs to get to Chicago by 1 p.m., what time is it in Chicago and what time is it in Charleston? Yeah, that all had to be invented for the railroad.
And how much did the conductor eat for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Sol for Z.
The only reason that the railroad would care about what time it was is because they wanted to leave on time. And the only reason they want to leave on time is so if you bought a ticket on that railroad, they could conceivably keep your money. So it is true that time is a capitalist construct invented so that the railway man could keep your money and not be at fault.
It just needs to be, all right, look up in the sky and go, it's about 4 fingers past noon.
If you ever, hot tip, Apocalyptos, if you ever want to find out who can't do basic arithmetic, just start asking people about time zones. It shouldn't be that fucking hard to figure out that New York is 2 hours off from Colorado, Denver. It shouldn't be that fucking hard. Just be like, oh, it's noon here. It must be 9 a.m. in California. Shouldn't be that hard.
Counting.
You start doing a Zoom call from one city to the next time zone over, and you will find out how many fucking Americans cannot add or subtract 1, 2, or 3 from one number to another number.
It's more difficult than you think.
It's not difficult at all.
For an American.
Well, for your average American, it's difficult. But let's go on record. It's not difficult at all.
Did you see the past, 5-ish years?
Well, now that we've talked about it on the show, I guess clocks are going to declare their support for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, time is going to be just, we fucked time. We're going to have...
Wow, on Christmas Day, huh, Jeff?
Yeah.
It's fuck time.
It's fuck time. God bless. Would you look at that?
Would you look at that? It's the end of the show, everybody.
Yeah, would you look at that before I dig myself a deeper hole on Christmas? Santa is not going to be happy with me next year.
Yeah, well, hopefully we have 364 days now for you to sort of get yourself back in the fat man's graces.
I got to do a lot of reverse digging,
reverse
climbing, groveling, and then climbing out of a hole and groveling and then filling the hole back in. Is that how that goes? Once you've dug yourself a hole?
Mm-hmm. Yep. What gets bigger the more it dries? A hole.
A hole.
Yep. That riddle's for Jack, who said we never read his emails, but we do.
Yeah. We love you, Jack. Keep writing us. Everyone keep writing us.
Everyone keep writing us.
Including our most hated enemy of the show.
Oh my God. It's Christmas. I'm not going to talk about the enemy of the show, but we will next week. Ashley, enemy of the show, who, you know what? Fuck it. I'm talking about it. We're going in penalty time to talk about the fact that I gave Ashley every chance. I did. I said, you could tell us that you meant salami sock, and we would have supported you.
Would have.
They wrote in to double down. Enemy of the show. Ashley. So, on that note, every apocalypto except one, have a wonderful holiday season, no matter your flavor.
And hope that casserole dish served you well, Alan.
Oh, yeah. The Brussels sprouts.
The Brussels sprouts. Casserole, Brussels sprout. But that wasn't a casserole. It's just Brussels sprout, how you fix them.
I promised the real recipe. I didn't have time this episode. I emailed it to Alan. He made them. They were delicious, like they should be. But
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Ho, 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 bitches.
Ho, 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 bitches.
Have a happy new year. We'll see you in 2023.
I've been Kyle.
I've been Dev.
And we have attempted to start the apocalypse.
Kanye.
Good night, everybody.
Ibuka cookies.
Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse is brought to you every other week with a full archive available at devandkyle.com. The Apocalypse theme and other music in the show is written and performed by Chase Noseworthy. He's Chase Noseworthy on YouTube or at NoseworthyChase on Twitter. All graphic design for Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse has been created by Dead Vision. Find her work on Twitter and Insta at XDADOTTER and book her immense talents at XDADOTTER.com. Audio engineering provided by Cassandra Ohsone. She can make you sound even better than Dev and Kyle because you'll provide much better raw materials. Get in touch with her on Twitter at coffeewithcoom. That's coffee with COUM. Dev and Kyle support artists and creatives of all types. Exposure is for film. Artists need compensation. If you're interested in becoming an apocalypto to help keep supporting all of the artists who make Dev and Kyle sound passably professional, please consider becoming a sustaining patron at patreon.com/devandkyle. Show notes, transcripts, and any other information from this episode should be available at devandkyle.com if Dev and or Kyle did their job. Fingers crossed. Finally, deeply and sincerely, Dev and Kyle think that you are a wonderful person who deserves love and compassion. We hope our small gift of what we consider interesting or entertaining has made your day even the tiniest bit better. Thank you for liking or subscribing in your favorite podcast app. And if you think others may want to know about this show, consider leaving a review in that same podcast app. It really helps us spread the word. Thank you.